Hey, first off, welcome to the page. I want to tell you quickly why I created this page. Over the last few months, I've been doing a deep dive into learning persuasion and influence and communication. I'm doing so because I am leaving my career as a real estate investor. I've been a real estate investor for 16 years, full-time real estate investor. I bought and sold, nearly 1,000 houses. I've made millions of dollars. I built a rental portfolio of over 10 million. I accomplished, and I don't say any of that to boast. I'm just making a statement about it that I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish with it. And I'm no longer inspired by it. In fact, I realized that if I were to stay doing this, that I would certainly build a bigger net worth and more assets and, I'd have a better financial position, but I'm not inspired by it anymore. In fact, I realized by doing this that I'm not really giving back and I'm not really helping people in the way that I want to. And so I'm changing and I'm merging out of that into teaching financial education and financial transformation. And I realized that in order for me to really get people to have the transformations in their lives, that I need to be able to own the skill sets of persuasion and influence and communication. Because in order for me to help them have the transformations in their life, I will have to help them have belief shifts, right? Belief changes, behavioral shifts. I will have to help them change their patterns. I'll certainly have to be able to persuade them to move forward and to take action. And so those skill sets of persuasion, influence, communication are not only necessary for me to have ongoing success in my life, but to be able to help them have the transformation, have the success in their lives. But I've noticed something over the last few months as I've been doing a deep dive trying to learn this stuff. I'm reading a book a week, I'm watching YouTube videos every night, I'm researching and trying to learn from the best alive now and the best from the past. And I've realized something that there's not that much out there that teaches this stuff, right? There's certainly all kinds of marketers that we can learn from, but there's not that many people teaching at a core from a skill set standpoint, influence and persuasion. There's quite a bit out there when it comes to communication, but not influence and persuasion. And I don't necessarily think that people that know this stuff are trying to hoard it, but maybe they're just not making it as public. And so as I'm learning this stuff, I want to be able to share it with you. So, and here's a couple of reasons why I've been so inspired by it. Many years ago, when I was going down my path of becoming a real estate investor, I would go to these different conferences and seminars, and I'd often see people do a presentation. They were doing their pitch. Of course, at that time, I didn't realize what was going on, but they would do their presentation. At the end, they would have a table rush, and many times they would make several $100,000, $500,000 in a 90-minute presentation. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And then a few years ago, I was at one of the ClickFunnels events, and Russell Brunson did his presentation. He's such a master at it. I mean, certainly one of the best alive. And in that time, that 90 minutes, he had a table rush. And there's probably 3,000 plus people in the room, and it seemed like half of us stood up and ran to the back of the room and bought. And of course, at that time, I think it was a $20,000 plus coaching package. And so in that time, I believe he generated over $10 million from one presentation. Craziest thing I'd ever seen. And so I realized that to make the big money, these are the skill sets to possess: communication, influence, persuasion, sales, marketing, copywriting. All those go together. Okay. Now, over the next several years, I hope to master these skill sets. And so as I'm doing this deep dive and going through all the stuff and learning from all these people, I'm going to be documenting this journey. And so I can share it with you. So instead of you trying to figure out where to go to find all this stuff, instead there's one central place where you can go to where we're studying different people all the time. We're learning from the best experts in the world, the best communicators and presenters, influencers, salespeople. So if that's interesting to you, I ask that you subscribe first so that anything that I post and gets published, that you get notified of it, and be sure to communicate. Let me know who you are, where you're at, where you're from, why you're doing this. So I'd love to be able to help you and help you however I can. So hope to see you on the journey. See you on the videos.